What's up, guys? I thought it'd be an interesting time to film a couple loads because we got a good old, about a 15-mile-an-hour quartering wind on this little ag strip, and it could make for some interesting times every once in a while. So I thought I'd bring you guys along for a load or two in the wind on a small strip. The strip is about 22,000 feet long, something like that, about 20 feet wide. I'm going to have a quartering headwind, about a 45-degree headwind on landing, and then a 45-degree quartering tailwind on takeoff. This plane could actually handle quite a bit more tailwind than you think. If it was a 10-mile-an-hour straight tailwind, about 6,000 pounds, about all you can do on 2,000 feet. And my fuel in this fertilizer is a little over 6,000. Well, it was when I started. My fuel's down to a little under 200 gallons now. I'm carrying 4,600 pounds of fertilizer. And right now, 182 gallons of fuel at 6 pounds a gallon. So there's Joe. He's taking off. So I'm going to swing out wide, make sure he's got plenty of room. I'm going to go around these two towers right here, let him get out of there and not have to worry about peeling out too quick. Because the way the wind's blowing, it's coming over all those trees in that pond, and it can get a little bit of hairy right there at the end of the strip. So I see him there, he's turning out. I'm going to turn on in. I don't know if y'all can see Joe, he's right there. Alright, so I got a 45-degree, about a 12 to 15 mile an hour quartering headwind on here. It's coming from my left side, which will be the northwest. I got the power pulled back now. We're going to start getting into flap speed right about meow. Get my flaps in. Now, a lot of times on a heavy crosswind, I won't use full flaps. This wouldn't be considered a heavy crosswind because it's pretty good in quartering. I'm going to go ahead and use full flaps, and I'll probably 3-point it still. In a heavy 90-degree crosswind, I will use 2/3 flaps in the wheel land. Because you've got a little bit more directional control over your rudder when you wheel land because you're going faster. Oh, see that? I hit the stop on the rudder, on the right rudder right there. But that's not something that happens to a lot of you guys. But luckily, it was just enough. That can happen sometimes in these gusty crosswinds. You can run out of rudder. Alright. That wasn't too bad. I just started flying off this strip. I've been at a municipal airport most of the day. And got finished with that job, and here I am, back at home base. I'm going to open my door right there. I'm going to put the prop in. It's in beta range right now. Which means I've got direct linear control of the prop pitch with the power lever. There we go. And that just kind of keeps some of the dust from blowing all over the cockpit. I like to keep a little negative in there because otherwise it'd be blowing dust all over the cockpit. And I got fertilizer dust in my coffee earlier today, and man, let me tell you, that will make somebody upset. Somebody being me. Because I love coffee, and I had to stop drinking it. Anyway, this is straight urea. It's got a treatment on it called agritane. And I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew exactly what agritane does. I don't. I think it's got something to do with how fast the fertilizer dissolves. I think it keeps it around for a little bit longer or something like that. You know, I don't know. It's not my job to know. It's my job to put that stuff in the right field at the correct rate in an efficient manner. And that's what I'm about to do. So I'm fertilizing corn right now. 150 pounds to the acre. Got the job pulled up here on my iPad, and it's got all the information I need. Got the latitude, longitude of the field, the customer name, phone number in case I need to call somebody, which I would, and I'd call the manager, and he would call the customer. It's got my rate on here, 150 pounds. Got the total fertilizer I need for the whole job. So this one's 39,124 pounds. And that's all she's going to get before it starts to spill out of there. All right. So I know Joe just took off because we saw that. He's the only other plane working out of this strip right now, so I know that I am clear for takeoff. So this quartering tailwind and this load, I need to pay attention to a couple things. Number one, I need to get my power in relatively quickly, and I need to do that without bouncing the prop off the governor. So there's my full RPM, and I gave it the beans right there, and we're rolling. One nice thing about this quartering tailwind is it's coming from my right side right now, so I don't have to use as much right rudder on takeoff, which is nice. Because this big Dash 65 Pratt & Whitney up here, pulling 4,000 foot-pounds of torque, sometimes it'll get, your right leg will get a little tired. I do have rudder trim, and I do use it a lot. So I gotta be careful right here because the wind coming over these trees can sometimes get a little bit weird. And it's just a lot of sinking, a lot of climbing, you know, uncommanded sinking and climbing just through the rough air. That wasn't too bad. Alright, so I'm out of the hole now. I'm going to pull my power back a little bit. I'm going to take a notch of flaps out. We'll get my prop pulled back. That last notch of flaps out right there. Get my power set. Get my elevator trim set. Get my rudder trim set. And I'm going to have to change all that when I pick up speed. But for right now, it's going to be alright. And I'm going to go straight to my field. The field's about 3 miles away, maybe 4 from right here. So I'm going to climb up a little bit. I'm not going to get to the full 500 feet just because I'd have to come right back down as soon as I got there. But I'm going to get up high enough so that somebody ferrying around here can see me against the horizon. And I'll be able to hopefully see them or be above somebody if they're working. Which I've flown back and forth through here several times already. I have not seen any other planes working along my path to the field. I don't believe there would be. I think that this company takes care of most of this, and I'm still new here, so I don't exactly know if any of these fields are taken care of by another flying service, but I don't think that they are. I'm pretty sure we do most all of this stuff. So anyway, I'm going to look around. I think that's Joe right over there. He's about 2 or 3 miles due west. I don't see anybody else. I've got a couple towers right here. Watch out for. That's a cell tower, and they're triangular with that metal, whatever that's called. So they generally don't have guy wires. You still definitely want to check, but generally those towers won't. But this dude right here does. It looks like some kind of radio tower or something. It does have guy wires on it. And it's important to know where they're at, and you can generally tell where they meet the ground because you know they won't be able to mow around right there, so there'll be like a growed up spot. But sometimes they're not, and a lot of these don't have those orange balls on them, so you really need to pay attention, especially if you're working a field that's got one of them in it or it's right at the corner or something, because those things are hard to see sometimes. So I'm coming up on my field. It's about a half mile right in front of me, and I'm in the middle of a pass. I'm going to zoom out on my screen so I can remind myself where I shut off, right about in the middle of the field. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to the end and turn around and do just like a full pass. What you'll find is that when you try to cut it real close, you'll miss your pass and have to go around and you just wasted 45 seconds to a minute or whatever. And we try not to do that. So this field right here, this little cornfield is what I'm doing, and this tree line is the end of it. So I'm going to go past this tree line, I'll make my turn. I'm still, you know, 1,800 foot away from my line, and I've got a headwind coming this way, so I can go ahead and roll in, it'll be all right. I'm going to put a little bit of flap in. Got to be careful on these 802s especially, because there's an AD on the torque tube for the flaps, and where it attaches to the actuator, it'll crack. And I think a lot of those cracks happen because it's real easy to put your flaps down while you're going too fast in these planes if you're not paying attention. And that'll mess stuff up. That's what that wide arc is there for. So I want to keep an eyeball on that. And it's hard to do because, you know, the flaps are what help pull the airplane around in the turn. And in fact, they do most of the work. So you kind of want to get them in pretty quick. Otherwise, you know, your right bicep's going to be flexed pretty hard, like mine is right now pulling this stick up. And now I hit my flap speed. I'm going to put the flaps in 2/3. And they're going to do really most of the work. Like, I'm really not holding much back pressure on this stick at all. I'm just going to let the flaps kind of pull us around the corner here. And I will overshoot my line. That's okay. My field's way up here. My field's a half mile in front of us. So I'm going to go ahead and come on back into my line. I got plenty of time. And that was also a downwind turn. So you really don't want to jockey on the stick in a downwind turn, especially if you're loaded. That's just a recipe for disaster if you're not good in tune with your airplane. That's another reason it's important to turn away or turn far away from your field, so that way if that does happen, or if you need to make some corrections, you've got plenty of time to do that before you get back to the field. And I've seen during my career all the time guys, you know, rocking their wings, coming in the field, their spray on or their fertilizer coming out, and the plane's doing this. It looks sloppy. The farmers don't like it. It is sloppy. I mean, it's just not what you want to be doing. So you want to give yourself plenty of room to turn around and get back on your line. So it's just like a final approach, you know, you want a good stabilized approach and to have a good landing. And same thing here, you want a good stabilized approach to have a good pass. You want a good clean pass, you don't want any weird stuff going on. These guys pay a lot of money for this, and you want them to be comfortable and happy with the job that you're doing. Because if they're not, that's not good. There's a lot of competition in this business. So you want to be doing it just as good or better than the other guys. So here coming in on this downwind turn, I'm going to roll out a little bit more this time. So I got that 1,500, 1,600 feet away from my line. I'm going to pull my flaps in and come on around this corner. And it's going to overshoot it again. I could have rolled the airplane over a little bit more on the ailerons to catch that. And it would have been okay, but you know what? My field's so far up there, I'm just going to do it this way because it's easier. Fertilizing, our ideal height is about 60 foot above the crop. And it's hard to judge because I don't have a laser altimeter in this plane like I did my last plane, so I'm just having to eyeball it. Which is fine. That's what I did for most of my career. Except the last 5 years when I had that laser altimeter. Let me tell you, I really like that laser altimeter because it just adds another level of accuracy to my work. And I almost ran out. I got just a touch, so I probably got 100 pounds down there. And I'm not going to turn around and do a little piece of a pass. I'm just going to go get full again. I'll come in on that full pass. California guys will be proud of what I just did there. I pretty much, I use the same swath width for 100, you know, I'm doing 150 pounds. I use 83 feet, and I use that for every field that I'm doing 150 pounds on. It's Arkansas math. You know, with my moving map here, you know, I can catch a pass in the middle if I run out in the middle pretty easily. It's easier for me to tell if there's a gap. You know, I can always go back and fix that. But if you're paying enough attention, it's just fine. I'm looking out for Joe. I see him. He's right over there. If I wanted to, I could beat him in, but I think I'm going to let him go first. I'm just going to go on out. Actually, I'm going to go on across, and I'm going to come in from the right side. I'll just do that. That way I don't have to go out there and get way behind him. It's always good to be courteous, especially to the chief pilot. let him come in. This wind's going to blow all of his wingtip vortices and everything away, so I don't have to. I can come in close behind him if I wanted to, and I wouldn't have to worry about that because the crosswind component's going to blow all his weight turbulence right out of the way. So there he is coming in. He's on fine. He's about a quarter mile out from the end of the runway there. Crossing the threshold right now. All right, go ahead and turn on in and make this happen. Ooh. So I'm starting to roll the power out real slow right now. When I get down to 140 mile an hour, right now I'm going to start putting in my flaps here. Roll my trim all the way forward. You do have to put quite a bit of forward pressure on this stick when you put the flaps in because the nose pitches up quite a bit when you put the flaps down on these planes. And there is a spring that will pull the stick forward to help with that on these planes. And a lot of people take that spring out. I do not. I like that spring a lot because otherwise my tricep on my right arm would be so much bigger than my left and I have to force that stick forward all the time. I'll just let that spring help me out. Alright. I do like to, on this plane especially, I like to pull my flaps out when my wheels touch. Because this dude it'll dance on down the runway if you don't do that. My other 802 that I flew last 5 years wouldn't. It'd pretty much sit down and stay there. This dude's a little bit lighter on his feet. Well, anyway, that was a load. A couple landings on a windy-ish day. It's really not that windy, but thought it'd be interesting. Ta-ta.